and today we're speaking with a candidate for the Marshfield School Board and to learn more about their background, experience, and approach to public service. Hello, and thank you for being on the program today.
Thanks for having me, David.
Yeah, so in case if the viewers don't know who you are, let's get your name and tell us a little bit about yourself, what you like to do for fun, and why you're running for the school board.
Absolutely. Thanks again for having me. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mason Gukenberger. I am one of your candidates running for school board this year. I am a proud graduate of the Marshfield School District, the class of 2017, and I'm really running because Marshfield really helped me become who I am today. The educators at the school district, the community members, really encouraged me to drive, to have that passion and that dedication to service. And professionally, I work in the agriculture and construction technology industry in a role focusing on training, business development, and data-driven decision making. That experience has taught me how to listen to the right questions, ask the teams, and make thoughtful decisions to create long-term decisions. I decided to run because I believe our school district needs steady, unbiased leadership that puts students first and keeps students at the core of every decision. I want to help strengthen the district culture, support staff, and ensure every student has that opportunity to learn, grow, and succeed like I had. And that's really what decided me to run. And that path that students can take and making sure they have those opportunities really shouldn't matter what grade level they're at or what school they're in or what their future plan is. It's our job to make sure they have every opportunity they want and need to be successful, learn, grow, and succeed.
Okay, well, I would ask the next question. I should skip it, but I'm still going to ask that question anyways. So, what experiences, professional, parental, I don't know if you're a parent, community-based, what do you think best prepared you for this role?
Great question. So I am not a parent. I do not have kids, but that I think is both a good thing and a bad thing. My experience comes from a combination of professional community-based learning. Obviously, I mentioned my role in what I do is really driving individuals and organizations to make long-term decisions based on data-driven backing. But outside of that, I've also gained leadership experience through involvement in local and state boards, both within the Marshfield community and the state of Wisconsin, where collaboration and transparency, along with accountability, are essential on those. I've worked with diverse groups of people, listened to different perspectives, and helped move projects forward respectfully, both for what the individuals who I'm representing want and also the board want long term. In my opinion, together these experiences have prepared me to serve with a student-first mindset, making fair, factual-based decisions, and really focus on the long-term success and putting students first in an unbiased manner.
Sure. So that leads to my next question. Was there a specific moment or issue in the Marshfield School that made you decide that I need to step up or do this?
Another great question. There really wasn't one specific issue that made me decide to run for school board. And I believe that matters. That's what sets me apart. I'm not running with a personal agenda or to push one item or advance a historical item. And I believe that matters. I'm not running to give one opinion or one-sided of an element. I'm running to give back to the people into the district who really helped shape me who I am today, and including teachers, staff, coaches, advisors, mentors, and community members who invested in me as a student to really help me become who I am today. I will serve with a student's first mindset while supporting the educators and staff who make student success possible every day, and I'm committed to being fair and unbiased and a steady voice to strengthening through trust and transparency and collaboration, especially with the community as a whole.
Sure. That takes me to my next question. What do you believe is the most important responsibility of a school board member?
Absolutely. Obviously, a school board member has a lot of duties and responsibilities, and I believe the most important responsibility of a school board member is to provide that fair, unbiased leadership, especially when decisions are difficult and controversial. A board member, in my opinion, must stay nonpartisan, ask the right questions, and make decisions based on facts, policy, and long-term planning, not outside pressure. To stay grounded in that, I believe decision-making should come to one consistent question. And this question, I think, is really a key in everything I've talked to in the community so far. And when you're making decisions as a board member, at least I plan on any decision, if elected, that I make, I'm going to take it back to the question, does this help a student learn, grow, and succeed? And for me, that's important. And when you look at that question, if the answer isn't there, that decision you're making probably shouldn't be directing the district priorities at that time. At the same time, I am a firm believer that the school board member must serve as a strong connector between the administration, staff, students, and the community as a whole. Building that trust through clear communication and transparency helps really ensure that the district stays aligned and supported and focused, not only for the short term, but the long term on student success.
All right. Well, that takes me to my next question here. How do you see the difference between the school board role and the role of the superintendent and school administrators?
Absolutely. The school board and superintendent, I think, have different roles, and same thing with the administrators and within the schools themselves. But they have to work together as one team to keep that district stable and focused on the student success, working together holistically. The school board's role, in my opinion, is to lead the big picture, set the vision and priorities for the district, adopt policy, approve budget, provide accountability and oversight, a little bit of that governance side of it. The board's job isn't to manage the day-to-day operations. That's why they're there to support the administrators and the faculty at the school. But in the long run, the board's job is to make sure the district is heading in the right direction long term with the students at the core of every decision that they make. The superintendents and administrators are responsible for that day-to-day leadership, managing staff, leading operations, and really working to implement that plan, that culture that the school board is hoping to get in that term. But for the district to succeed, in my opinion, both sides have to work together and listen to each other. The board obviously not only represents the community and takes that community voice inside the school district, but they're also there to listen to staff, listen to students, and connect and relate. Just as the administrators, when they're working on making decisions and implementing that culture, it is important that they listen to the parents, listen to the students, listen to the faculty in that decision. And even when discussions are difficult, it's important for the board, in my opinion, to stay united with their leadership team and with the administration, even after a decision is made and say an individual board member doesn't necessarily agree with the decision. Remaining united and unified going through that is important, because that, in my opinion, having those two groups work together is really what creates that long-term stability over time and truly sets the students up with a successful path.
Right. So you said the word governance. So that takes me to my next question. What does good governance look like to you in this public school system?
Yeah. Good governance in a public school system, and really specifically the Marshfield School District, I think means a steady, transparent leadership that keeps students at the core of every decision. Students at the core of every decision is something I'm going to go back to time and time again because truly every decision impacts every individual student that's there. I also view the school district as, I'm a business background person, so I view it as similar to a large business. You got multiple buildings, hundreds of staff, and I believe school board governance is similar to how a business board of directors work or a business advisory committee works. It's their job to set clear priorities, adopt a strong policy, approve budgets, so on and so forth, and really provide that oversight. That governance is really an oversight to make sure that the district and administration is working along those lines. To me, good governance means the board is holding the leadership of the school district accountable. They're holding themselves accountable. They support that administration in doing their job and stay focused on the long term. It also means listening, though. If you're not listening, and I don't just mean listening to the superintendent, I mean listening to the faculty, listening to the students, and listening to the community, and communicating clearly and make decisions that are really for the whole, not just for one side, not pressure or personal agendas. When decisions are made, the district needs the leadership to stay united, as I said before too, and move as a whole. And I think that's important, and that's what governance to me means.
All right. So my next question is, if elected, what would be your top 2, maybe 3 priorities that you would focus on in the Marshfield Public Schools?
Absolutely, and that's a great question. There's a lot of priorities that candidates can come in with. And I'll be honest, my first one is clear and to the core of why I'm running, and that is to truly keep students at the core of every decision by supporting high quality learning and ensuring every student has opportunities to succeed, regardless of their path that they're choosing after graduation. If it's college, if it's trade, if it's workforce and military, we should be making sure those students have the opportunities from the start of their enrollment in the school district all the way to graduation, and making sure they're put first at the core of every decision. Second, I think strengthening our district culture and supporting the staff is important and a value that I'm going to follow. Recruiting and retaining great educators matters, and I want to build a positive culture um, because when staff feel respected, students really have the next level of opportunity. That's what sets it apart, in my opinion. And when students can feel the ability to learn, like they have the opportunity, like they're being supported, like they matter, that comes from a culture driving element. And third, but by far not least, is improving transparency and communication. Throughout the community, as I've been going and talking to people, that's been a hot topic, is transparency and communication, and specifically not with just the parents, but the entire community as a whole. Um, as you do that, you're able to build trust through the clear information that you're providing and the work that you did. But across all those priorities, I will stay focused on long-term decision making decisions based on what will strengthen the district not just this year, but for the years to come.
All right. Well, that takes me to my next question here. So, what do you think Marshfield is doing well right now, and what you think needs the most improvement?
Great question. That is a good question. And I'll be honest, I think there's a lot that the school district is doing well right now. I think our biggest strength is the dedication of our educators, the dedication of the faculty, along with the community that genuinely supports the students and putting students first and making sure they value the success that a student can get. Um, our district offers a wide range of opportunities from academics to career technical education, arts, athletics, clubs, leadership development, and that helps students set them up for success on whatever path they choose. I think we have done a good job with that. I think we have a lot of opportunities that other districts don't have. In my opinion, where we need the most improvement is continuing to build and strengthen that district culture and long-term thinking, bringing the staff as a whole, meaning if you're in one building or another, it shouldn't matter. We're one team, we're one holistic culture. And I think that strong culture will improve morale and help build that. Because the other thing we kind of have a problem with is retention, I think, not only from faculty retention, but also administration retention. And when that is always in a change, that also doesn't allow you to build that culture then.
Right.
So if we find a way to implement that, it really helps long term.
Sure. My next question here is how should the district balance academic achievement, student mental health, extracurricular opportunities, and what do you see on that?
That's a good question. I was really active in school, both coming up through elementary school, all the way middle school and high school, and I think there is a very important balance to that. I think academic elements are very essential to a student's success. Especially those core classes, your math, your science, your English classes. But students also learn best when they feel safe and they're mentally able to learn. Both inside and outside the classroom. At the same time, those extracurricular activities aren't just extras, in my opinion. Whether it's athletics, arts, career technical education related activities, or leadership development activities such as the FFA or the Skills USA or even Student Council, they're leadership development, and that really provides students the opportunity to develop those skills, such as the leadership side of it, the confidence side of it, responsibility, and really sets them up for the real world experience. And I think that's important for students. However, to make it balanced and to make it all work together, we do have to have that culture where academics and students' well-being and extracurriculars do work together. That balance takes long-term thinking. If clubs and opportunities are constantly changing, it doesn't work well to make that balance. So I think it's important to make sure that we're smart planning, we're listening to not only the students but the staff and the parents as well in that matter, while keeping the students at the front and center and the core of every decision.
Sure. We got about 13 minutes left here, so let me move on to my next question here. What does success for Marshfield students look like to you in the next 5 years?
That's a great question. I think there's two elements to this. It's both student success and district success. And I that the success for Marshfield students 5 years from now, in my opinion, it is every student when they leave feels supported to learn to grow academically and personally, no matter what path they choose. But it does mean we have to have strong academic outcomes. But probably even more important is the strong character, confidence, and life readiness. I think those are elements that kind of slowly died off. And I think that is important not only as they look to go to a secondary education or go into a workforce or go into their next section of whatever they choose. Those skills are going to be more and more sought after and needed. So students should graduate prepared for college, for trades, workforce, military, or anything they choose, because it is their choice
Right.
when they go down that. I think it also, though, looks like a positive district culture as a whole, where students feel safe, valued, staff feels supported from a district standpoint, and respected, along with families and the communities being engaged and involved in that. And they also are able to entrust the district with the decisions that they're being made. If we keep the students at the core of every decision and focus on long-term stability, I believe Marshfield students will continue to thrive and will continue to be a school district renowned for our education and our programs.
Okay, that takes me up to my next question here. School boards, make some pretty tough decisions about budgets, taxpayer money. What principles will guide you when weighing spending versus tax impact?
That's a good question, especially with some recent tax changes. I think when weighing spending versus tax impact, my guiding principle as I'm running on it is make sure the students are at the core of every decision, while also respecting the district and and knowing that it is funded by the local taxpayer, because that is an important element. I believe budget decisions should be made with the long-term thinking, not short-term reactions or short-term fixes. That means prioritizing spending that directly supports the student learning, safety, and opportunity, and being honest about what is sustainable over time. I will ask the questions, look at data, evaluate options based on what's measurable value and not trends, pressure, or previous elements. I also believe the community deserves the transparency in that, on where their dollars are going and why. Fiscal responsibility doesn't necessarily mean doing less. It means using resources wisely, and so Marshfield can maintain its strong schools and truly protect the student success while making a mindful tax impact. The keyword there is mindful tax impact.
Okay, so talking about money, that's gonna probably come up to my next question here. How should Marshall decide or where to invest in, such as staffing, building, technology, or student services?
Absolutely. And I think it goes back to kind of what I've been saying so far is students first and long-term lens thinking and asking that one consistent question when you're making those decisions. Will this help students learn, grow, and succeed? Because decisions should focus on that. And the best way to support that and that safety and that opportunity is to look at the long term and not just this year. I believe those decisions should be guided by a few key factors, though. Student impact. Will this help students learn, grow, and succeed? Long-term sustainability. Is this the most responsible solution over time, or is it just going to be a short-term fix? And staff support. Does this help educators and staff do their jobs effectively and or improve them, because they're the ones who are giving the students the education, which goes back to the student impact. Equity and access. Does it ensure opportunities are available across the district as a whole? Making sure that it's all there. And then lastly, transparency and accountability. Can we clearly explain the need, the cost, and the expected result of that tax impact that we're about to make? And that's important, whether it's staffing, facilities, student services. It should all be made thoughtfully based on data and real needs, with students always at the core of every decision.
All right. We got 8 minutes here. I'm gonna skip my next two questions and go down to what does transparency mean to you when it comes to school board decisions?
Yeah. Transparency to me is almost being an open book, if not a full open book. You're open, you're clear, you're consistent about what decisions are being made, why they're being made, and how they impact students and staff and taxpayers. To me, transparency isn't just posting meeting minutes after meetings or after committee meetings. It's making sure information is accessible but also understandable to everyone in the community, not just the students, not just the staff, but everyone has to be able to understand it and have access to it. But the other thing too with transparency, when people can see how decisions are being made, it does build trust. It reduces the confusion, it strengthens the relationship between the district community and all the stakeholders within that, while keeping the students at the core of every decision.
All right. Well, talking about core, what core values would guide you on your decisions on the board?
Yeah. First and foremost, students first. Students should be at the core of every decision. And I can do that by asking, does this help students learn, grow, and succeed? I think that is probably the most important value there. Second, fairness and unbiased leadership, making decisions based on facts, policy, long-term outcomes, and not personal agendas. Third, transparency and communication, being open about the why behind decisions and keeping the entire community informed, not just the parents, and make sure it's accessible. And finally, long-term thinking and stability. Focusing on decisions that strengthen district culture, support the educators, drive for student success, and build that long-lasting success plan for students from start to finish.
Okay. I'm going to move back up. We got a little extra time here, so I just want to go back to one of my next top questions here. When resources are limited, how do you decide what gets funded and what doesn't?
It's a great question. I think it comes back to that students at the core of every decision element. Having the students at the core, I mean, you justify safety, you justify the educators, because without the educators, we don't have an education. So it really takes it back to the elements, figuring out the needs of the district, being able to communicate that, being able to justify it. But then also when you're looking at when resources are short or are sparse, we also got to look at how did we even get to this point.
Right.
And then when you're making that decision, you get the decisions you're about to make. You got to make sure you're not going to put us in that same position again. And I think that's a key, and that comes through analysis, looking at the internal data, and really listening too. There's a big element of listening there, but you got to listen to everyone, not just select groups, not just elements. It's what is going to set us up for the long term.
Sure. Well, I'm gonna skip down to my last two questions. If we have a little extra time, then we'll come back to some other questions here. So, why should Marshfield voters trust you with their schools?
Absolutely. And that is a good question. And I go back to the very start of I'm running to put students first, put students at the core of every decision. And the Marshfield voters can trust me with our schools because I am committed to unfair, unbiased decision makings that really revolve around putting students at the core of every decision. Um, I will always ask, does this help students learn, grow, and succeed? As a Marshfield School District alumni, I deeply respect the educators who shaped me and the responsibility our schools carry to build the next generation of our community. Um, it, I'm here because of it. I want to make sure that the students have those opportunities. And a big element of that is also the willingness to listen. As an elected school board member, we're there to represent the community and be a voice. That means we have to be willing to listen and also share information back to the board, even if it doesn't necessarily mean I agree with it. I'm there to represent you, and by doing that, that is how I can remain unbiased.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go back up here a little bit. We got a little bit of time here, and I didn't know how long we were gonna go here. So, how do you plan on to listen to the parents, students, teachers, who may strongly disagree with you?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And I'll be honest, I sit on a lot of boards and a lot of committees where people don't agree. And I don't, it, it's not that you at that point in time, you really can't focus on the argument. You got to focus on the end goal. And for me, it is looking at the facts, making sure I'm understanding the point that they're coming from, because I'll be shouldn't be the first one to say it. You're not always right, meaning I'm not always right. The person that I'm disagreeing with, there's a good chance they're right. So making sure you understand the full picture, the big picture, and really listening and valuing that other opinion. When you're looking at the different sides of things, the first main element is to listen. If you're not able to listen, you're not gonna grow together, and the board has to work as a team, and the district has to work as a team. So valuing people's inputs.
All right. So I'm going to go down to the next one here. If a controversial issue divides the community, what role should these school board members play?
That's a good question. And I'll go back to, if it's a controversial issue that impacts the district or impacts the students, the board needs to remain unbiased and look at how it truly impacts the overall district. If it is an issue that doesn't directly impact student success, faculty, or the district as a whole, it shouldn't be brought into a school board meeting or to a school policy meeting. So keeping it separate is important, because the board's job is to set the long-term vision of the school, hold the leadership team, and set it up for success. So truly, in my opinion, it doesn't, if it's not impactful or tying it in, it doesn't really have a place.
All right. Well, we got a little bit here. A little bit. Can you give an example of a difficult decision that you had to make in your life, and how did you handle that?
Absolutely. I'll go back to, I was a president of a nonprofit here locally and on the state board as well, reviewing the finances and making decisions, for being the voice of what the membership wanted versus that's just the board, whether it was to invest money or basically keep it in a savings account. But really trying to take that long-term thinking, making sure every side was heard, making sure, even if it wasn't something that I agreed with or disagreed with, making sure every element was considered, because when you're looking at investing money, that is a big decision in a nonprofit. So really analyze the facts, make sure it's understood, and make sure the goals are, what you're doing is going to accomplish the goal you're asking for, and make sure that it's a unified decision once it's done.
Sure. Well, you've answered all the questions in time here. So is there anything else that you would like to tell the voters that maybe I haven't asked?
That's a good one. We went through a lot today. I just like voters to know that I am running to serve the community. I'm running to give back, put students first, and represent the entire community in a fair, unbiased manner. I'm focused on doing what's best for students and long-term district success. I'm grateful for the educators and staff and the community who helped shape me, who I am. I'm here to give back to them in that manner. And I appreciate every conversation I've had so far in the community, questions, and the perspectives I've been getting. It's amazing, some things that you don't even think of when you just open your ears and listen to what could make things better. I would be honored to earn your trust and your vote. Please feel free to connect with me at my email, which is Gukenberger for mfldschools@gmail.com, or follow me on Facebook, Gukenberger for Marshfield School Board. I'm open to any questions. Feel free to reach out.
All right. Well, Mason, good luck for.
Thank you very much.
I should have had the other hand here,
Yeah.
but good luck on the elections here, and hope everyone gets out and votes in April there. So you've been watching Get to Know, produced by Marshfield Broadcasting. This interview is a part of an ongoing effort to provide voters with general information about candidates running for office. Marshfield Broadcasting does not endorse any candidate or political parties, and participation in this program does not imply endorsement. To watch this interview again or other candidate programs, visit us online or watch Marshfield Now Channel 990 or our streaming platforms. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next time on Get to Know.